Eric Hale had traveled through many lonely star systems before, but this one felt different. The silence was too deep, too empty, as if even the stars were holding their breath. His small ship drifted past a dead moon when his control screen suddenly flashed red. A distress signal appeared out of nowhere. There was no ID code, no coordinates, only a soft sound repeating again and again. A child was crying. Eric froze. He had heard distress calls before, but nothing like this. The voice was small, fragile, and full of pain. It made his chest feel tight. He checked the sensors again. Nothing around. No ships. No life signs. Only that cry. Something inside him told him he had to check it, even if it was dangerous. He guided his ship toward the moon. The surface was covered in dust, cracked like dry skin. Strange ruins spread across the ground like the bones of an old civilization. His ship landed, and the crying grew louder, echoing through the empty place. Eric took a deep breath and stepped out. The air was cold and thin. Each step kicked up gray dust. The crying was close now, coming from behind a broken pillar. When Eric walked around it, he stopped. A small alien girl sat alone on the ground. Her knees were pulled to her chest, and her arms wrapped around them. Her body shook with every sob. She looked no older than 8 or 9. Her skin was pale blue, glowing faintly under the moonlight. Delicate silver lines ran across her arms and neck like tiny rivers of light. Eric spoke softly. "Hey, are you hurt?" The girl lifted her head. Her eyes were large and bright, but full of deep sadness. She looked like someone who had cried for days. She wiped her face with her small hands and whispered, "Please, don't leave me." Her voice broke, and Eric felt something twist inside him. He slowly moved closer and knelt down. "I'm not leaving you. What's your name?" She looked away. It was as if saying her name hurt. After a long silence, she whispered, "Lyra." Eric smiled gently, trying to calm her. "Lyra. I'm Eric. I'm here to help." But the moment he reached out and touched her hand, the ground beneath them started shaking. Dust lifted into the air. Eric heard a deep rumble, like something huge waking up underground. His wrist communicator beeped loudly. "Warning, large energy signatures detected. Approaching fast." Lyra gasped and gripped his hand tightly. "They found me, we have to go, now." Eric looked up. Far in the sky, dark ships were emerging from the clouds. Their shapes were long and sharp, like giant blades cutting through the air. They were silent, but something about them felt wrong, like they were hunting. "Who are they?" Eric asked. Lyra's voice trembled. "Bad people. They chased me. They took everything. They want me." Eric didn't understand everything, but he understood enough. This child was in danger, and she had been running for a long time. He lifted her into his arms. She was light, too light, as if she hadn't eaten properly in days. He started running toward his ship. The ground shook harder. A dark shadow passed over them as one of the enemy ships flew low, scanning the surface. Lyra buried her face against Eric's chest. "Please don't let them take me again, please." Eric held her tighter. "I won't. I promise." The hatch of his ship opened as he approached. Just as he stepped inside, a bright red beam shot down from the sky and exploded behind him. The shockwave threw dust and pieces of stone everywhere. Eric stumbled but managed to close the hatch. Inside, alarms screamed. "Incoming fire. Enemy lock active." Eric placed Lyra in the seat beside him. She was shaking, her small hands gripping the armrests. "Hold on," Eric said. He launched the ship into the air. Enemy ships rotated to face him, their weapons glowing. A beam fired. Eric twisted the ship sharply, and the beam passed dangerously close. Why are they after you? He asked while pulling the controls. Lyra closed her eyes tightly. I didn't mean to do anything. I didn't want to hurt anyone. Hurt? What do you mean? But before she could answer, the ship shook violently as another beam hit the shields. Eric cursed. He pushed the engines harder. I can't outrun all of them. Lyra suddenly covered her ears and screamed. The lights in the cockpit flickered. The ship engines glowed brighter. Outside, the enemy ship suddenly slowed down. A strange wave of energy rippled through space. All the enemy ship's lights went dark. They stopped moving. Eric stared in shock. Lyra, what did you just do? She shook her head. I don't know. It just happens when I get scared. Eric understood nothing. This girl, this sad, fragile child, somehow shut down entire warships with a scream. Who was she? What was she running from? How long had she been alone? But one thing he knew for sure. He couldn't leave her. And whatever hunted her, was far from finished. Eric kept his hands tight on the controls, his heart pounding as the dark enemy ships floated in silence behind them. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like a warning. Lyra sat beside him, breathing hard, her small chest rising and falling fast. Her glowing marks flickered weakly, like a dying light. Eric looked at her. Lyra, are you okay? She didn't answer at first. Her hands were shaking too much. She stared at them as if they were not her own. Finally, she whispered, I didn't want to use it. Use what? Eric asked. My power, she said quietly. I don't know how to stop it. It happens when I get scared. Eric didn't push her for answers. She was trembling, her eyes glossy with tears. He simply nodded. You're safe now. I won't let them take you. But even as he said that, a terrible feeling grew in his chest. If a frightened child could shut down warships with a scream, what would happen if she panicked more? What if she lost control? He felt the weight of that thought, but he pushed it away. Right now, she needed someone to choose her. Someone to protect her. Eric checked the scanners. Those ships won't stay down for long. We need to get far away from here. Lyra looked at him suddenly. Far away is not safe. They can always find me. Eric frowned. How? She shook her head. I don't know. They always do. Her voice was too soft, too defeated. It hurt Eric to hear it. No child should sound like that. He reached out and gently touched her shoulder. You're not alone anymore. We'll figure it out. Lyra looked up at him. Her eyes were still sad, but a tiny spark of hope appeared, small but real. The ship flew through empty space for almost an hour. Eric avoided all major routes and kept the engines low to hide their trail. Lyra stayed close to him, sitting quietly, hugging her knees, watching the stars pass. Every now and then, the glowing lines on her skin pulsed softly. Eric wondered what they meant. Were they natural? Artificial? A sign of her species? He didn't dare ask yet. As they traveled, the silence grew heavy, almost like a pressure in the ship. Eric felt something was wrong. He checked the scanner again and frowned. No life signs behind us. But, he leaned forward. Something else is following. Lyra's eyes widened. A shadow? Eric looked at her sharply. A shadow? She nodded slowly. They send shadows first. They watch me. They tell the hunters where I am. Eric turned to his controls. Can these shadows be fought? Lyra shook her head. They aren't alive. They are, made of dark energy. Eric didn't know what that meant exactly, but he understood one thing, normal weapons wouldn't work. He tightened his jaw. Then we run faster. He pushed the engines harder. The ship vibrated. Something unseen moved behind them, almost like a dark fog stretching through space, sliding closer. Lyra grabbed his arm. It's already near us. Eric checked the sensors. Nothing appeared. No warnings. Nothing on radar. But he trusted her instinct. She had survived alone for a long time. Her fear wasn't random. Suddenly, the lights in the ship flickered. A deep humming sound began, like a dark whisper crawling through the walls. Eric stood up. Stay behind me. The humming grew louder. The air turned cold. A thin black mist seeped from the corner of the cockpit, spreading slowly like smoke. It curled and twisted, reaching toward Lyra. Lyra backed away, shaking. No, please no. Eric grabbed a tool from the emergency kit and swung it through the mist. It passed right through. The shadow didn't react. It kept crawling toward the girl like it was alive but empty. Lyra covered her mouth, tears forming. It's calling them, it's telling them where I am. Eric didn't think. He reached for her hand and pulled her close. Look at me. Stay with me. Don't be afraid. She tried to focus on him, but the fear in her eyes grew stronger. The glowing marks on her skin brightened. The ship trembled. Lyra, Eric said softly, it's okay. I'm here. The shadow touched her foot. Lyra screamed. A burst of light exploded from her body. A powerful wave shot through the entire ship, blasting the shadow apart into dust. The lights went out. Panels sparked. Alarms blared. The ship spun wildly for a few seconds before stabilizing again. When the emergency lights came on, Lyra lay on the floor, breathing weakly. The glowing lines on her skin faded almost completely. Eric rushed to her. Lyra. Are you hurt? She opened her eyes slowly. I didn't mean to. Eric helped her sit up. You saved us. She shook her head. No. I sent a signal. They know now. They all know. Eric felt cold. Who is they? Lyra swallowed hard. The Dominion. They destroy anything that scares them. And they are scared of me. Eric stared at her, stunned. Why you? She looked up at him, sadness deeper than anything he had ever seen. Because I am the last. The last of my kind. And they want to finish what they started. Eric felt his stomach twist. He wrapped his arm around the child as she shivered. The scanners beeped. Multiple ships had just entered the system. Lyra was right. They had found her again. And now, Eric was trapped with her. Eric stared at the scanner screen as more red dots appeared, one after another, like drops of blood spreading across a map. The Dominion ships were not rushing toward them. They were surrounding the entire system. They wanted to make sure there was no escape. Lyra held Eric's sleeve tightly, her breath shaky. They're closing the trap. Eric swallowed hard. We're not staying here to get caught. He turned the ship sharply and sped toward a broken cluster of asteroids. They moved like slow giants, pieces of rock drifting silently in the black. Eric slipped between them, using their shadows to hide the ship's energy. Lyra pressed her forehead to the cold window. You're trying to keep me safe, but the Dominion will keep coming. They never stop. Eric looked at her. Let them come. I'm not giving you to them. Her eyes widened a little, surprised. No one had ever said that to her before. After a long silence, she whispered, Why are you helping me? Eric thought for a moment. Because someone should have helped you long ago. You shouldn't have been alone. Lyra blinked hard, as if holding back tears. Everyone I love is gone. I watched it happen. They made me watch. Eric felt something crack inside him. No child should have memories like that. He placed his hand gently on her shoulder. You don't have to talk about it until you want to. She nodded and wiped her face. The ship drifted through the asteroid field. Eric searched for somewhere, anywhere, they could hide temporarily. His map showed an old abandoned outpost on a small icy moon. It was a place forgotten by most travelers. Hold on, Eric said. We're going somewhere no one has visited in decades. The landing was rough, the ice cracking under the ship as it settled. The outpost was dark and silent, half buried under snow. Its metal walls were covered in frost, and the entrance door was rusted shut. Eric pried it open with effort. Inside, the air smelled old and cold, like a place that had been asleep for ages. Lyra stepped inside slowly, her small feet leaving faint prints in the dust. What is this place? A research station, Eric said. Old technology. Nothing important enough for the Dominion to check. Lyra wandered forward, touching the cold metal walls. The glowing marks on her skin dimmed even more, almost disappearing. She looked weaker. You need rest, Eric said softly. Maybe food too. Lyra nodded, but her eyes were scanning the darkness, as if she sensed something hidden there. Eric activated the main power switch. Lights flickered on and off. The floor vibrated as machines woke from a long sleep. A screen on the far wall blinked to life with static. Then a mechanical voice echoed through the station. Identity, unknown. Presence detected. Authorization required. Eric stepped forward. We come in peace. We're hiding. We just need safety. The voice paused. Then it said something that made Eric freeze. Subject recognized. Starborn catalyst detected. Eric turned sharply toward Lyra. Her eyes widened with fear. The screen cleared, showing an old AI projection, a shimmering blue face with no expression. It looked directly at Lyra. Welcome, last of the Starborn. Eric's breath caught. Starborn, what does that mean? The AI continued as if reciting from memory. A Starborn catalyst carries dangerous internal energy. If triggered, it can destroy fleets or reshape space. Eric felt his legs go weak. He looked at the girl, small, fragile, sad. She was not a weapon. She was a child. Lyra hugged herself tightly. I didn't want these powers. They're a curse. The Dominion wanted to use me. My family refused. So, they wiped out my whole world. Her voice broke. She covered her face. Tears slipped through her fingers. Eric moved closer and knelt beside her. It's not your fault. She shook her head. I can't control it. If I lose control, I could hurt you too. Eric gently took her hands away from her face. Listen to me. You're not a monster. You're a child who survived something horrible. I won't leave you. Lyra stared at him, her eyes full of disbelief and hope mixing together. The AI interrupted. Warning. Dominion signal detected. Their hunters are tracking her energy wave. Eric stood up fast. We have to move again. The station lights suddenly flickered violently. A loud metallic sound shook the walls. Something had landed outside. Lyra grabbed Eric's arm. They're here, the hunters. Eric ran to the viewing window. Through the swirling snow, tall figures stepped out of a dark ship, armored soldiers with glowing blue visors. They moved like machines, silent and cold. One of them lifted a speaker device. A harsh voice echoed through the outpost. Human. Release the catalyst, child. You are harboring a threat to the Dominion. Eric clenched his jaw. Not happening. The hunters stepped closer. You have 10 seconds before we enter by force. Lyra trembled. They won't stop. They will take me. They will hurt you. Eric moved in front of her, shielding her with his body. No one is touching you. The door rattled violently as something struck it from outside. The hunters were breaking in. Lyra closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. I don't want to lose anyone again, please, please don't die. Eric grabbed his blaster. Then stay behind me. The metal door bent inward as the hunters forced it open. Snow blew inside. Red lights flashed. The first hunter stepped in. And Lyra's eyes suddenly glowed bright white. A soft hum filled the air. Eric turned toward her in shock. Something was waking inside her. Something the Dominion feared more than anything else. The metal door twisted like thin paper as the first Dominion hunter forced his way into the outpost. Snow blasted in behind him, carried by the icy wind. His armor was dark and heavy, his face hidden behind a glowing visor that scanned every corner with cold precision. Two more hunters stepped in behind him, their weapons humming with sharp blue light. Eric pointed his blaster at them, his hands shaking but steady enough to fire if he had to. Stay back, he said through clenched teeth. The lead hunter tilted his head, almost amused. Human. You cannot protect what you do not understand. Lyra stood behind Eric, her hands trembling at her sides. A soft white glow pulsed beneath her skin, brighter each second, like a rising sun trapped inside her small body. She stared at the hunters with wide, frightened eyes. The hunter raised his weapon. The catalyst child must be returned. She is too dangerous to remain free. Eric stepped forward, blocking their line of fire. She's a child. She needs protection, not chains. The hunter's voice remained calm. She holds the power to destroy star systems. Her kind was wiped out for a reason. Lyra whispered, barely audible, they killed my people, not because we were dangerous, but because we were different. Eric felt something burn in his chest, anger mixed with protectiveness. She is not a weapon. But the hunters didn't care. They advanced with slow, heavy steps. Then Lyra gasped. She covered her ears, shaking. Their voices, they're inside my head again. The lead hunter took another step. Surrender her now, or face termination. Eric fired first. A bolt of red energy blasted across the room, hitting the hunter's chest. It didn't slow him down. His armor absorbed the impact like a shield. The second hunter raised his weapon toward Eric. But before he could fire, the entire station went dark. Silence. Then Lyra's eyes opened again, glowing brighter than before, like two white stars. The hunters paused, sensing the change. One of them stepped back. She is activating. A deep humming vibration filled the air, shaking the walls. Dust drifted from the ceiling. Eric turned to Lyra. She wasn't scared anymore. She looked calm. Too calm. Energy swirled around her, soft and white at first, then brighter, shaping into a thin wave of light that spread across the floor like mist. The hunters panicked. Contain her, one shouted. But it was too late. The wave hit them. Their visors cracked. Their weapons powered down instantly. Their armor lights flickered wildly. One hunter dropped to his knees, grasping his helmet as sparks flew. The others stumbled back, trying to regain control. Eric watched in silent shock. She wasn't attacking them. She was shutting them down, just like she shut down the ships earlier. The lead hunter's voice glitched. Her power level, too high, cannot. He collapsed as his suit powered off completely. Eric rushed to Lyra's side. Hey, breathe. Stay with me. The glow began to fade. Lyra took deep breaths, her knees buckling. Eric caught her before she fell. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, she whispered. I only wanted them to stop. Eric held her close. You did good. You didn't kill them. You just stopped them. But Lyra shook her head. No, you don't understand. When I use my power, it sends a signal. Something bigger will hear it. Eric frowned. Something bigger. Before she could answer, the AI screens lit up behind them, emergency warnings flashing. Alert. A Dominion warship is entering orbit. Power signature, Class Omega. Eric froze. A Class Omega ship wasn't a normal ship. It was a planet destroyer. The station shook violently as the enormous warship entered the moon's orbit. Snow fell from the ceiling. Metal beams creaked. The floor vibrated. Lyra clung to Eric's shirt. That ship, it's the one that destroyed my home. Eric felt a cold chill crawl up his spine. Then we need to get out. Now. He lifted Lyra and ran back toward their ship, passing the fallen hunters. They twitched weakly, still alive, their armor trying to reboot. One hunter lifted his head slightly and whispered, "Run, she will bring the fire of stars, she cannot be allowed to live." Eric ignored him. Outside, the wind howled. The sky glowed red as the warship's beams charged, sending streaks of light down toward the surface. Eric shouted over the wind. "Lyra! Can you shut that down too?" Lyra shook her head weakly. "No, it's too big. I can't stop a warship." He tightened his grip. "Then we run." They reached the ship just as a massive beam struck the ground, sending a shockwave through the entire moon. Ice cracked like glass. The outpost behind them exploded into fire and metal. Eric threw himself inside the cockpit with Lyra, sealing the hatch. "Hold on." He launched the ship upward. Another beam barely missed them, slicing the ground in half. The warship filled the sky, huge and terrifying, its cannons glowing like burning suns. Lyra hid her face against Eric's arm, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, they are destroying everything because of me." Eric gritted his teeth. "No. They're destroying everything because they fear what they don't understand. You're not the monster here." The scanner beeped loudly. A new signal appeared. A ship was approaching them fast. But this ship was not Dominion. Its energy signature was unknown. Unmapped. And coming straight toward them. Eric stared at the screen. Who is that?" Lyra lifted her head slowly, confusion in her eyes. "I don't know, but something about it feels familiar." The unknown ship flashed its lights twice. A signal. A message. And whatever it meant. It was coming for them. Not as an enemy. But as something else. The unknown ship moved through the darkness like a silent silver arrow. It was small, fast, and shaped unlike anything Eric had ever seen before. Smooth metal, no visible weapons, just a dim blue glow pulsing along its sides. It almost looked alive. Eric tightened his grip on the controls. "I don't know who they are, but we can't trust anyone right now." Lyra leaned forward, staring at the mysterious ship through the window. Her eyes softened. "It feels warm. Like something kind." Eric frowned. "You can feel it?" Lyra nodded slowly. "It's calling me." Before Eric could question her, the silver ship stopped right in front of them. Then a soft beam of harmless white light wrapped around their ship, not pulling them, not attacking, just connecting the two ships like a gentle handshake. A voice came through the speakers. Calm. Gentle. Not Dominion. Starborn child. Do not be afraid. Eric stiffened. Who are you? The voice paused, then answered clearly. I am Arion. Guardian of the last Starborn. Lyra gasped. Guardian. My mother told me, Guardians died with us. Arion replied, we hid. We waited. For you. Lyra's lips trembled. For the first time, real hope entered her eyes. Eric had never seen her look that way. Something inside him relaxed too, even if he didn't trust easily. The warship behind them fired again, trying to target both ships. The silver vessel moved instantly, placing itself between Eric's ship and the blast. A shield opened around it, absorbing the attack like a wave hitting a cliff. Eric's eyes widened. Their shield, it's stronger than anything I've seen. Lyra whispered, it's starborn technology. Ariane spoke again. Human pilot. You have protected what was left of her. For that, we owe you a life debt. Before Eric could reply, the silver ship opened a small portal-like hatch, releasing a glowing blue sphere that floated toward them. It attached to Eric's ship, and suddenly his screens lit up with new paths and strange symbols. Ariane said, follow the light. It will lead you through the warship's blockade. Eric hesitated. How do I know this isn't a trap? Lyra placed her small hand on his arm. I know them. Not with my memories, but with my heart. Eric looked at her. Her face was calm. Peaceful, even. He nodded slowly. Okay. We follow. He pushed the controls gently. The two ships moved together. As they flew forward, the gigantic Dominion warship fired every cannon it had. Space lit up with deadly beams. But the silver ship danced through them, moving with impossible speed, guiding Eric through the chaos like a parent guiding a frightened child. Lyra watched the lights flash outside. Why are they helping us? Ariane answered, his voice almost sad, because she carries the starborn flame. And the flame cannot die. It must choose its path. Eric asked, what does that mean? But Ariane didn't answer. The blockade broke. They escaped the warship's range. A quiet peace settled around them as the Dominion ships became small dots behind them. Lyra finally relaxed, leaning back in her seat. We're safe, for now. Eric sighed in relief. His hands were shaking. He hadn't even realized how tightly he was gripping the controls. But the quiet didn't last. The silver ship slowed and stopped in front of them. Ariane's voice returned. Starborn child. It is time. Lyra blinked. Time for what? For truth. A soft glow filled their cockpit as the silver ship projected an image. A memory. A vision. A woman with glowing silver hair and kind eyes. A tall man with peaceful, warm energy. And a tiny baby with white sparks around her. Lyra gasped. Mama. Papa. Ariane said gently, your parents knew the Dominion would attack. They hid you. They placed the entire legacy of our people inside you. Their last wish was that you survive, and someday, decide who you want to be. Lyra's tears fell silently. Eric placed a hand on her back. Ariane continued, the Dominion fears you. They fear the flame. But the flame does not choose destruction by itself. Only you choose. Eric spoke softly, Lyra, you're not a weapon. You're hope. Lyra wiped her tears. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want a family. Someone who cares. Eric's voice tightened. You have that now. Me. I won't leave you. For a moment, the universe felt still. Then the scanners beeped. The warship was moving again, charging its biggest weapon. Ariane's voice changed. They will try to erase everything. Even me. Eric cursed under his breath. What do we do? Ariane answered, the child must make the choice now. Run or stand. Lyra stood up from her seat. Her glowing lines slowly came alive again. I'm tired of running. Eric looked at her in alarm. Lyra. She walked toward the window. The glow around her body grew brighter. 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 Her small voice, quiet but steady, filled the room. If they fear me, then let them see who I truly am. Arion whispered, the flame awakens. A pulse of white light gathered in Lyra's hands. It spread through the cockpit like warm air before a sunrise. Eric shielded his eyes. Outside, the warship fired a massive beam. Lyra raised her hand. A single wave of pure white energy burst from her body, soft, gentle, but strong as a star's heart. It swallowed the beam. It swallowed the darkness. It swallowed fear itself. When the light faded, the Dominion warship was powerless. Every cannon dead. Every engine silent. Not destroyed, just quiet. Arion spoke softly, in awe. She chose mercy. Lyra turned and hugged Eric tightly. I don't want to be a monster. I want to be someone who helps. Eric hugged her back. And you will be. The silver ship moved closer. Human, Arion said, the galaxy will come for her. Some will fear her. Some will worship her. But she must not face that alone. Eric looked at Lyra and smiled faintly. She won't. I'm staying. Lyra held his hand and whispered, thank you, for choosing me. For the first time, she wasn't the saddest girl in the galaxy. She was its brightest light. And this was just the beginning.